Hi, my name is Aaron, this is my show Re-Education, and I'm sick of the moralizing left. I'm not directing this at anybody specific, because I have a lot of friends on the left that might think that this is a call out on them. It is not. This is my general feeling about this whole situation, so please don't take this to heart. But this is something that has been bothering me for an incredibly long time. I am sick of cancel culture. I've had enough of it. I think that it's damaging to our cause and will do nothing but divide us, as I've said in videos in the past. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit differently today. Today, I'm going to show a video clip, and it outlines basically how I feel about this. Now, the video clip is a little bit long. It's about 4 or 5 minutes long, I believe. So this video is going to run a little bit longer than usual. But I think it's important because what is said here makes a lot of sense. Oh, and by the way, this clip was brought to me by Radical Reviewer. Please go subscribe to Radical Reviewer. For God's sakes, if you're not subscribed to him already, what are you doing with your life? Take a look.
How many people in the last 30 years have been in the vicinity of the left? By that I mean, how many people have been in a movement, anti-war, women's movement, gay and lesbian movement, labor movement, no nukes movement, Mideast, anything, any progressive or left movement, or been in a class for a whole semester with a radical or a revolutionary, or otherwise been in the vicinity of the left, in some way engaged with the left. And I decided that 10 million was a really conservative number. And then I thought to myself, you know, the left is supposed to be the good guys. We're supposed to have better morals. We're supposed to care about one another. We're supposed to be the repository of the future, the place from which sympathy and empathy and caring and solidarity emerges in society. So shouldn't it be the case that if you come into the vicinity of the left, you are attracted ever more strongly to it, that it's desirable, that it's appealing, that it is fulfilling, that it is empowering? Shouldn't it be the case, therefore, that people who come into the vicinity of it become more strongly engaged with it, more and more committed, more and more conscious, more and more involved? That should seem to me to characterize a healthy, powerful, growing, effective left. Really, it should characterize any left. But if 10 million people over the last 35 years have come into the vicinity of the left, and if the great bulk of them were made ever more firmly involved in the left and committed to the left, and if they were outreaching to others, then by this time we would probably have a left with 40 or 50 million people in the United States. And at that point I almost fell off my chair on the stage, because I realized that the stickiness problem, which is what I call it, the fact that we aren't sticky, that the left, instead of attracting people like gravitationally and having them stick, almost repulses people. The fact that we aren't sticky is responsible for the fact that right now we have, instead of 40 million people, whatever we do have. And just think of what it would be, what the world would be, and how many lives would be saved, and how many souls would be brighter if we had an American left with 40 million people right now. This is my generation's fault, I'm sad to say. But the problem is, and the third key component among others, is to build a movement which actually makes people feel better, stronger, more committed, rather than wanting to leave. We can talk about this in the discussion period. The essence of it is simple. We say to people, come join us. Risk your relations with your parents. Risk your relations with some friends. Risk your future job. No longer enjoy television. No longer enjoy movies. No longer be able to conduct yourself freely and in a relaxed fashion because everybody's going to criticize everything that you do. You may well have a less emotional engagements, less deep friendships than before. It's distinctly possible. Come join us. And what will we give you for all of that? Long meetings and backbiting. And a set of standards by which you feel that every time you try and do something, you fail. And we wonder why we're not growing. we need to rethink what it means to create a left that is sticky and that grows and that can raise social costs capable of changing society in the short run and in the long run. I think if we do those things, we will be in very good shape. I think that the shape where, there's a lot of people who like to look back and not find problems. I like to look back and at the present and find huge numbers of problems. If we look and we see no problems, we're in very deep trouble. The next generation is not going to be genetically superior to my generation. They're not going to be smarter. It's not going to be more courageous. It's either going to do things better or it's going to do things the same and do no better. So it has to be possible to do things better. So I need to be able to go back and look at what my generation did and what has been done since and find flaws. And we need to not wallow in those flaws but correct them. The big flaws that I see is a lack of attention to vision, a lack of willingness to try and sit down and answer the question, what do you want, which virtually everybody asks, a lack of attention to strategy, to developing a picture of how change comes about that's compelling and convincing, and a lack of attention to our own needs, to creating a movement that sustains and keeps us. And if we can deal with those three things, then I think the war on terrorism is doomed, and so is capitalism. Thank you.
So that was Michael Albert talking about the left post 9/11. And what he says there is so unbelievably perfect that I have to repeat it here again. He says, if you want to join the left, please join us and risk relations with your parents, with your friends, with your job. No longer enjoy TV or movies. No longer conduct yourself freely in a relaxed fashion. Everyone will criticize everything you do, and in return, we give you long meetings and backbiting. That's what you call cancel culture. That's what you call the moralizing left. That is something that has plagued us for decades. It's not just that we feel like certain people should act certain ways. It's that we force people to act those ways or we disavow. We feel like somehow we are morally superior to everyone else that has a difference of opinion if they are just slightly, or maybe more than slightly, problematic. Then we immediately think that it's something that is worth canceling them over, worth disavowing them over, disassociating with them. And that's not any way that we are able to have unity. That's not any way for us to be able to increase our ranks. That's not any way for us to actually have the masses think that we are the ones that are, as he said, the good guys. Because when we're constantly moralizing, when we're constantly putting people down or making them feel as though they are completely irredeemable, as I've said in videos in the past, then they're not going to want to be with us. They're not going to want to be a part of our group, of our revolution. But this is something that's been going on for decades. This is something that's been happening for years and years. Slowly but surely, we have gone from the party of fun to the party of fuck you. You're not allowed to be in our party because you one time said something that we didn't like, so you're not allowed to be here. You're not allowed to be part of our group. And that is not something that I condone. I, personally, as a leftist, hold in the highest regard rehabilitation and forgiveness. I think that those are inherently leftist ideas. I think that those are inherently leftist tactics. And I think that they work a whole lot better than calling people out or pushing them away. If we are actually in a battle where we need to be forming numbers, the way to form numbers is not to alienate people and force them out of our group. The way to form numbers is to be accepting and allow those people to be welcomed into our space and not want to leave. They should be coming in here and seeing that we're fun, seeing that we're interesting, seeing that we have something to offer them that the fascists don't. We used to be the fun-loving free sex types. We used to be the ones that were hippy-dippy and would love to go out and spend time in wilderness and hug trees and make funny jokes. George Carlin was a leftist, and he was probably the edgiest person that you can possibly think of. And I think it's more important for us to be more like George Carlin than Hillary fucking Clinton. There is a time and place for us to make judgments and to possibly disavow certain individuals when they've done things that have been deemed completely irredeemable, completely against our beliefs, like rape or murder or something along those lines. But other things, like problematic speech or, something that they may have done in their past, just does not equate to that same level. It is a fact of capitalism, a fact of the unjustified hierarchy that we live under, that we are basically incentivized, nay, forced by our system norms to think and believe in a certain way. We have been raised as males, as females, as human beings, to treat others poorly. We've been raised to think, as males, me personally, I was raised, not intentionally by my parents, of course, but by the society in itself, was raised to think that, well, women, even though they're equal, are lesser than us. The idea that's instilled in us is all women should be naked, barefoot, and pregnant, standing in our kitchen making us a goddamn sandwich. What a beautiful thought that is. But it is a thought that is instilled in many of our fucking minds. And when we act on those impulses, when we act in the way that our system was basically breeding us to act like, is that a problem with us as individuals? Or is that a problem with the system itself? It seems to me it's a very liberal way to look at things if we're going to be blaming the individual for a systemic problem. Now, that's not to say that personal responsibility doesn't exist. It most certainly does. And that's why I made the caveat earlier about rape and murder and so forth. But that doesn't mean that we can't still look at these situations as the structure being a cancer on the way that we conduct ourselves. And in the left, it's just as much of a fucking cancer. When you think that you have gotten away from all of that baggage, all of that propaganda, when you think that you're no longer able to be propagandized to, that's when you're the most susceptible. That's when you are the most able to be propagandized to. And when we're inside of a situation, inside of a group that already realizes all of the systemic problems that are with the world, all of the racial discrimination and sexual discrimination and gender discrimination, when we are already in a group that realizes all of those things, it's incredibly difficult for us to move past that and realize that it's not about the individual, it's about the society and the system. And we should have a structure that's based on rehabilitation and forgiveness, inherently leftist ideas, inherently leftist tactics. If we use those things, then we get people on our side. But if we moralize and we cancel and we consider everyone who is problematic to be unworthy of being in our group, to be unworthy of being part of our revolution, then there is not going to be any revolution to be had. The general public, the vast majority of people, aren't in our sphere. They don't understand certain things about gender, about race, about sex, about anything. They are just simply people. And when they're trying to just simply be people and be normal and be themselves, and we attack them for that, then what do we look like? We look like fascists. We look like the ones that are trying to force people to fit into our societal norms. And that is something that liberalism has been doing a great job at for a very long time. Now remember, liberalism has basically consumed the left for the last few decades. It's completely overtaken the left. And to think that people in our group, people that are leftists, still think like liberals, still have that liberal mentality, isn't unusual. It is basically inevitable. But the thing that I want people to take away from this video, the thing that I want people to think about the next time they're about to cancel someone or disavow them because they said something that was problematic, I want you to think about this. We have about 10 years left before complete global catastrophe, before our ecological system has been so royally fucked that there is no turning back. We have literal Nazis marching in the streets and people killing and dying because of 4chan and memes. And we're going to sit here and moralize people for saying something that happens to be a little bit blue, happens to be a little bit, I don't know, problematic. I don't think that that's going to help us. In fact, I know for a fact that is going to hurt us. That is the same mentality that ended up marching countless thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people towards the side of the Nazis ever since the whole SJW feminism bullshit started in the first place. Feminism is a great thing. Social justice is a great thing. But moralizing people because they don't believe 100% the way that we do makes them hate us, makes them think that we are, well, basically what we've been portraying ourselves as. Feckless, useless, ineffectual cucks. We're basically proving to the world, proving to all of those people that thought that we were those things, that they were right. That they actually had a justification in saying, well, you know what? They don't want to accept you because you have controversial opinions. I don't think that way. I want to accept people that have controversial opinions. I, in fact, embrace controversial opinions because those are the kinds of opinions that make me think, that make me look at things in a different way. And I'm not offended by 90% of the things that most people say. I know some people will be, but that's not something that I'm willing to jeopardize our humanity over. We don't have the luxury right now to be picking and choosing who we get to be friends with or who we get to ally with. We have to be willing at this point to make a stand. And we can't do that alone. We can't do that if we take everyone who has a slightly different opinion than ours and casting them out. Because you know what's going to happen if those people are casted out from our group, another group is going to come along and take them in. And that's exactly what has happened. The moralizing left, the cancel culture left, has sent more people, more comrades towards the Nazis, towards the fascists, towards the alt-right than any liberal ever could. And it's worse because it's happening from within the system. It's happening from within our own ranks. We are self-sabotaging our movement because we think that people aren't worthy of being leftists. And that's not fair. I don't look at Marxist-Leninists as being the enemy. I don't look at liberals or conservatives even as being the enemy. I look at them as individual people with individual thoughts, individual minds, and individual goals. They're all going to come to conclusions for different reasons, and I don't want to look at them as though they're a monolith. This is the liberal. This is the conservative. This is the communist. This is the anarchist. Now, I am going to make the caveat at the very end that there are some people that are unforgivable. There are some actions that are perfectly acceptable to disavow. But before you do that, before you make that call, maybe we should look inside of ourselves and really ask, is it worth alienating that person? Is it worth pushing that person away if it means that we are not going to have one more person on our side when things happen, when something goes down? The internet and the media are a megaphone. We can take that megaphone and we can use it to inspire people to do good, or We can let the Nazis and the fascists use that megaphone to inspire those people to do evil. It's really up to you. This holier-than-thou attitude, this cancel culture cancer that is infesting our group, is perfectly explained by Mark Fisher's Exiting the Vampire Castle. These people are vampires, and I don't want them to destroy our movement. Anyway, I'm going to end this episode with a piece of music written by David Rovix. I think it's incredibly important to listen to the lyrics of this song and really take in what they're saying, and not just hear them. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy the music.
If you're offended by the song, it's probably about you. Workers' World says that they have all the answers, and Milosevic is a guy that they admire. The ISO says Trotsky is the man, and they'll debate it until they all expire. The industrial workers will lead the revolution, so says the SWP. No, the truth lies with the lumpen. That's the RCP. The Sparts say the rest can go to hell, and everyone else is a Stalinist. The CP will just do their thing and pretend that the others don't exist. Well, I had a realization this morning as I looked into the red and dawning sun. I figured out the truth, and I'm forming a party of one. 'Cause I am the leader of the workers, and I'll tell you why the left is suspect. 'Cause there's something you don't understand. Only my line is correct. Yeah, I am the vanguard of the masses, and all of you should just follow me. And if you doubt my analysis, you must be in the petty bourgeoisie. But I am not sectarian. It's all the rest who are. I work fine in coalitions, as long as I'm the shining star. So bow down to your new master, the latest V.I. Lenin, and off to the camps with all of you who'd say not this again. 'Cause I am the leader of the workers, and I'll tell you why the left is suspect. 'Cause there's something you don't understand. Only my line is correct. Yeah, I am the vanguard of the masses, and all of you should just follow me. And if you doubt my analysis, you must be in the petty bourgeoisie. And I'll have no music at my protests. None of that goddamn puppetry. I'll just have some somber slogans. No decadent frivolity. But my chants will be the right ones, just the ones that should be said. And my banners will wave proudly, just the proper shade of red. And I will build the party if it kills me. I am solely dedicated to the cause. If I have to stab you in the back, that won't give me pause. But my platform will bring us forward, and the ends always justify the means. So all of you should step aside behind me, be you Quakers, Jews, anarchists, or Greens. 'Cause I am the leader of the workers, and I'll tell you why the left is suspect. 'Cause there's something you don't understand. Only my line is correct. Yeah, I am the vanguard of the masses, and all of you should just follow me. And if you doubt my analysis, you must be in the petty bourgeoisie.
Oh, and by the way, Dave, if you do actually watch this video, which would be fucking awesome, contact me. Please get a hold of me, because I'd love to talk to you. You're an inspiration. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Aaron. Have a good day.